Hello BookTube, the inconsistent reader here with part 22, Heartstopper. We start right off with Auntie Lydia busting into Hannah and Becca's dorm room, looking disheveled and breathing kind of hard. She tells them to go get Nicole. Nicole comes downstairs and is like, "What's up? Something wrong?" Lydia tells them the Pearl Girls printing press was raided, and since they found nothing incriminating, Commander Judd has decided it's time to bring out baby Nicole to save face. Now, not only does he want to bring her out, but he wants to announce his engagement to her. And with this news, Nicole's like, "Oh, hell no!" Meanwhile, after reading his file, Hannah knows this is a death sentence for any lady. So they ask Lydia what they're going to do. And I quote, "You and Nicole must leave tomorrow. But we aren't ready. I will bring the necessary items to you later tonight." And Lydia tells Becca she can't send her to the retreat house, so she'll have to find somewhere to hide herself for 48 hours. Maybe the library, Lydia suggests. Becca tells her no, there are too many books in there and nowhere really to hide. Becca comes up with the idea of making it look like Nicole climbed over the wall. That way, they don't look inside Ardua Hall, and she can find a place to hide there. Lydia tells her that's a grand idea, and that Nicole needs to write a note saying she couldn't handle trying to be an aunt, that she was going to run off to marry some econo man who promised her a good life. Now, Aunt Lydia leaves them and returns back at 10 p.m. She has a black bag and instructions for their trip. They are to leave at 6:30 in the a.m. And I quote, "Here's a map with the route marked. Get off at the X. The passwords there will be May Day and June Moon." Now, they don't know what June Moon is, but we do, don't we? I mean, for them, their mother's name was redacted, so they have no clue that June is their mother's name. Anyway, from there, they will head to their next destination. Lydia tells Nicole if she's successful, the people who murdered her adoptive parents will be at least revealed, if not dealt with. She also tells them if they make it to Canada, there's a slight possibility they will be reunited with their mother. And I quote, "I said, if you're successful." "It's a big if," said Aunt Lydia. "Success is not a foregone conclusion." Lydia also tells them that Aunt Vidala likes to take early morning walks, and if she sees them, she will try to stop them. And Hannah's like, "Well, how do we stop her?" And I quote, "You are strong," said Aunt Lydia, looking at Nicole. "Strength is a gift. Gifts should be employed." "You mean I should hit her?" said Nicole. "That is a very direct way of putting it," said Aunt Lydia. Truth is, Vidala is a fanatic, and sometimes you don't have a lot of options in dealing with them. I mean, do they want to get out of Gilead and save the day? Sometimes you have to do what it takes to succeed, if that's what you really want. Nicole leaves to go write her note and go to bed. Becca and Hannah have a conversation. Becca tells her she wished she was going with them, and Hannah agrees, but also says she'll be protecting them by staying behind. She tells Becca she will find a way to get her out later. Becca is doubtful, however. She tells Hannah she plans to hide in the water cistern, and Hannah tells her it is far too dangerous. Maybe they could smuggle her out with them somehow. But Becca, who's obviously more pragmatic, tells her it's just not feasible. And I quote, "I will pray for you," I said. It did not seem adequate. "And I for you," she smiled slightly. "I've never loved anyone but you." "I love you too," I said. Hannah goes to bed, but Becca says she's going to stay up and do a vigil for him. And just as Lydia predicted, Aunt Vidala was at the statue when they got there. She saw Hannah and was like, "What's going on here? It's not time for you to go." Then she sees Nicole, and she was like, Why is Jade dressed as a pearl girl? Vidala grabs Nicole's pearls, which break and clatter all over the ground. But before Hannah could even blink, Nicole punched Aunt Vidala in the chest and she crumpled. They dragged her body behind the statue, and Nicole picks up an orange on the ground and pockets it. And they make their way through the gate and into the awaiting car. Once in the car, Nicole peels the orange and offers some to Hannah, and I quote, "No, thank you," I said. "It's not right to eat it. It has been a sacred offering of a kind, after all." She ate the whole orange. She'll make a misstep, I was thinking. Someone will notice. She'll get us arrested. Hannah is worried because Nicole is so blunt and in your face. And in Hannah's world, it's just not safe to be that way. Now we hear Nicole's perspective. She was feeling a little bad about having to punch Vidala, but at the same time, not really. If she hadn't, they wouldn't have made it past this statue. Then what would have been the point of this whole damn thing? She notices that Hannah is obviously pissed at her, and she's pretty sure it's about the freaking orange, too. But then Nicole started thinking about dogs smelling the orange on her and was wondering what she should do with the peels. They go through multiple checkpoints, and they let their driver do all the talking. When they went through one of the checkpoints, however, they overheard the eyes talking, or joking. And I quote, "Hope they don't bring back any ugly girls or sluts." "It's one or the other," laughs from both checkpoint angels. "Really, Dix? You suck." I can't wait until this place falls.
Do you care if it falls? What? The Roman Empire? Fuck it.
Nicole thought about asking Hannah how long she was going to keep up this pious facade. But honestly, is it a facade? Or is this the only way she knows how to be? After all, she was pretty much raised in Gilead. They get to New Hampshire, and as they got out of the car, the driver says, and I quote, "Good luck, girls," he said. "Give 'em hell." "See, he's not a real guardian," I said. Well, duh. Like Lydia is stupid enough to let a real guardian drive them with Nicole's mouth? Come on. So they're now at this decrepit bus station. And while Nicole wouldn't eat any of the crap they were trying to pass off as human food, Hannah spent 2 of their food tokens for a donut of sorts. Meanwhile, they waited for the bus. And they waited. And they waited so long, Nicole started to get nervous. But it eventually showed up. Everyone on the bus was econo-class. But the further north they got, the less friendly people were to them. The bus went on a detour, and then Hannah started freaking out a little bit. Nicole tells her she needs to try and stay calm. After all, we're Pearl Girls, and we're going on an important mission. And I quote, "They did teach you a few useful things at Ardua Hall, and self-control was one of them." They get off the bus where the map tells them to, but it doesn't look like the right place. Not that they knew what the right place was, but this place was rough. They went into the convenience store, and it had a coffee counter, so they walk up to it and they order some coffees. Worst coffee ever, Nicole thinks. She even put some sugar in it, but that somehow made it worse. And at first the guy behind the counter was kind of surly and rude. But after they said the right phrases, he smiled and then told them they needed to go to the washroom. He unlocked the door, but when they walked through it, it was just a shed with a man waiting inside. And he was like, "Finally! That damn bus is always late." He tells them to change their clothes and then meet him outside. And I quote, "Once I got the silver dress off and those clothes on, I began to feel more like myself." So it's interesting to see how, like, Nicole's starting to feel a little bit better now that she gets to wear regular clothes. And I'm sure Hannah's not going to like that. And we'll get to see her perspective on it in a bit. Now, they've done such a number, they've done such a number on this girl, Hannah, that she not only feels weird wearing pants and silky underwear, but she's literally worried she's going to get into trouble. And I quote, "I found the clothing provided for us disagreeable in the extreme." More on that later. Now, Hannah's getting more and more nervous the further they get from Gilead. Don't forget, she doesn't remember the normal world. Not one where you can make your own clothing decisions. And I quote, "Gilead," said Nicole, "is not where we're going. We've got 2 minutes to join our buddy outside, so suck it up." Pardon? Sometimes I could not make out what my sister was saying. She laughed a little. "It means be brave." Okay, they get in the truck with the man, and Hannah thanks him, and he's just like, "I'm getting paid for this. It's just a job. And frankly, I'm getting too old for this shit too." And despite having alcohol in his breath, he drove well. Hannah even fell asleep and dreamed of Becca. And now we're back to Nicole, and I'm starting right off with a quote. And I quote, "The night slid by in silence. Agnes was asleep, and the guy driving was not what you would call talkative. I guess he thought of us as cargo to be delivered, and whoever talked to the cargo? Let's discuss. I mean, yeah, he's getting paid, and as he mentioned earlier, he's tired and he's old. How long has he been doing this job? And think about this. He probably cared in the beginning, but like he said, he's old. He's probably just calloused at this point. It's just a job, and it clearly affects him because he can't do it without drinking. Plus, you don't know his life story, Nicole. Damn!" Anyway, back to the story. They get to the dock, and the old man's like, "Get out." He did tell them to have a good trip, so that's something. But then he dumped their backpacks out of his truck and left. They get to a small boat, and Hannah is awestruck by the moon reflecting on the water, saying how it was like lights. And in this moment, Nicole felt older than Hannah. Now it's Hannah who's going to a strange new place. Nicole's just getting to go home. The boatman took them to their next destination, ending this section. And I quote, "There she is," the man said finally. "I could see a darker shadow out on the water. The Nellie J. Banks, your ticket to paradise." And that's the end of section 21, Heartstopper. They are now getting to their next boat. The next section is section 23, Wall. And this is a super short chapter, and of course it's about Miss Lydia. Thanks for watching this in-depth review of the Testaments with me, the Inconsistent Reader. And as always, make good choices.